Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales, Stories Behind the Hood. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Traveling Frankie. Today, I'm honored to have my guest, Barry Mitchell with Techniweld. Barry,
Frank,
thank you so much for taking the time to sit and share a little bit of your history. But even more, thank you for being such a great host.
Oh.
I was lucky enough to sleep over at his house, and we had a great night last night. And definitely, we are in Atlanta. Where exactly are we, Barry?
We are in Riverside, which is upper west side of Atlanta, right between Buckhead and the Battery.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
An area that I have never been, and now that I'm in this area, it's a lovely area. So congratulations, beautiful home. I'm honored that you allowed me to stay here and spend some time together. Barry, like I was telling you before, so this whole thing, Torch Tales, is about sharing someone's journey into the industry. Why are they in it, how they got in it, and why are they still in it? You know, which is the most important question, right? Who knows? We're just masochists. We just like pain. Mm-hmm. But this industry's been very good to me, and I'm assuming that's pretty much what I'm going to hear from you. But before we hear all of what you do now, let's go back to the beginning. Where are you from?
I am from a little village called Killeigh in the middle of Ireland, which is 5 miles from a better known town called Tullamore.
Really?
And Tullamore's claim to fame tried to capture the world with Irish whiskey. So Tullamore do, Irish whiskey. And actually the scene of the world's first aviation disaster. When when a hot air balloon crashed and burned the town to the ground. And in fact, the town crest to this day is the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Really? So that's where it happened?
Yep, very first recordable aviation disaster. Yeah.
See, look at that. We're already learning, and I just that's what we do here. You know, how long were you there?
So I left Ireland when I was 33.
Okay, so you born and raised?
Born and raised, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've been here 25 years.
Yeah. The rest of the time.
Yeah, the math.
Growing up there as a kid, and before I ask, how can you compare one and the other, but as a kid growing up there, what were you into?
So, growing up in a tiny little village with a village green and a handball alley, of all things, right in the middle of the green, so picturesque. Such great neighbours, sense of community. Everybody took care of everybody. The flip side of that, everybody was in everybody's business. But
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, when you're in a small goldfish bowl. But absolutely beautiful. I recall maybe 6-7 years ago, going with 2 friends of mine from Indianapolis. We were headed to the welding show in Dusseldorf, and we stopped off in Ireland for 4 days. And I remember cresting the hill, coming back down into the village, and somebody said, "You grew up here?" It did look a lot like a Lord of the Rings. So,
really?
yeah.
That's exactly, I'm funny you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I'm picturing in my head as you're describing this whole thing. So that's got to be pretty cool. Had there been a long time before trips? Like, how long was it?
No, I used to go, when my parents were still alive, I would go at least once a year, but sometimes a couple of times a year.
Gotcha.
Shorter trips, and you would use any opportunity to go on vacation.
Got it.
To Ireland with the family. So yeah, but it was so picturesque, and sometimes you don't see that until you've moved away.
Once you start comparing things, you can really see this or that, and that's when you really take on what he meant, what it is, what he was. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. So being 33 when you first came over to the States, what were you doing back then to make a living, pretty much?
Well, I'll go back to what I did in Ireland. We actually had a family industrial supply business. That's how I got into the welding business.
Really? So that was from your dad?
Yeah. Started the business right behind our home in that little village.
So what kind of stuff were you guys
fasteners, power tools, wrenches, drill bits, woodworking equipment, the complete range of tools and equipment.
Really?
And then got bit by bit, you get dragged into welding. You know how it is.
I know. One guy asks about this one thing, then you get a sales guy that comes in and opens your head about another line of products and so on, and it just morphs into that. We see it all the time. Right?
If I could only think back to the first time we ordered electrode and S6 and filter plates and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So
Wow. When you were growing up, did your dad already have this business and you grew into it, or it was after you got older that he got into it?
he started it when I was in high school.
Okay.
So I was an active part of it every evening, all weekends, and
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have two beautiful sisters, Frances. They're both younger than I am.
Okay.
Frances is an assistant high school principal at a large high school in Ireland, and Fiona is a journalist.
And are they here in the States now, or they are?
They're both in Ireland.
Oh.
Although Fiona spent many years in London, working as the London correspondent for our national broadcast.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Now you are exposed to the industry somewhat, the industrial side of things. High school. In fact, pretty much you'll have your adulthood, right?
Yeah.
So you're 33, and now you come to the States. Why and where did you land first?
So I was working with OKI, an OKI affiliate in OKI Bearing, I should say, affiliate in Warrington in the UK. And so when I landed in Cincinnati, well, actually southeast Indiana, in Bright, Indiana, and I was working with OKI.
Okay.
So
how did OKI come about in Ireland?
So they acquired 50% of a company in Warrington that I was actually working for.
Got it.
It was an old friend of mine, was one of the owners, Sean MacDonald, and Mark Underwood were the two owners. And we had sold our family business, and I had gone to work with Weld Spares, which then became Weld Spares OKI, and.
So you were part of the package that came.
Part of the package, and came over and landed in Cincinnati.
But what happened there that you had to come over? Why did you come over?
So I met was to be my future wife.
Okay.
I met her when she was transferred to the United Kingdom for 6 months, and kind of at the end of that 6-month stretch, we started dating, and we actually managed a transatlantic romance for a year until that got too onerous.
Yeah.
So I ended up. I moved, and she also worked obviously with OKI.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Now you come to the States, working for the same umbrella, the same company. Did you see that there was a difference in the way that business were done back home versus when you got here to the States? What was the biggest thing that you noticed? Whoa, what is this?
So there were a number of things that were straight off the bat. At that time in Ireland, even having a business, it was very, very difficult to collect your money in a prompt manner. So when I got to Cincinnati and I found that 99% of our distributor customers paid
30, 60,
promptly.
Yeah.
I found out, oh, this is different.
We get to see the money now?
Yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah. But I think the other thing, one of the earliest things that struck me, and I thank one of the owners of OKI, Jerry Fry. I thank him for pointing it out to me in a way that I wasn't expecting. But rebate programs and how important they were to the industry, and actually how valuable they have been to the industry.
Correct.
In maintaining, I would say, pricing integrity and stuff like that. So I'm just fascinated by.
So you learned that early on here in the States, because that was not part of the MO.
It was never part of the MO.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting. Yeah. It's what's amazing is that same tools, same kind of things, same people, and you just have to come and adapt to whatever country you go to. Because it's the States, has a different way of handling things, and so does part of the world, even though it's the same industry, right? So that's funny that that's one of the things that you noticed, that it was the biggest difference. We get paid.
Welding hard goods had basically in Europe had moved into the industrial channel. They were all handled by industrial distributors, 90%.
So there was no real regular only welding thing.
Distributors,
it was
correct.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful.
Piggybacking from what I already have.
Yeah. And it was beautiful to arrive in the US and see that there were legitimate welding distributors.
Right.
Yeah.
How long were you there with OKI?
So I was with OKI until, well, even for some months after OKI was acquired by United Stationers.
Okay.
And then at that point it was rolled into kind of combined with ORS NASCO.
Gotcha.
And so that didn't go very well.
Okay.
I think the industry knows that, looking
Yeah.
back on it. So I stayed about 7 or 8 months after,
Gotcha.
and then I left and did my own consulting gig.
Now, at this time, because you came over, because of part of the reason because of the relationship you had
Yeah.
at that time. Did you have kids already?
No.
No,
In fact,
no
after
kids.
moving to the US, got married, and year
Got it.
after that had our first son.
Because now you have how many kids?
2 boys, Patrick and Liam. Yeah.
Awesome. And they live here in the States?
Yes, Patrick's a senior at Indiana, graduating in 5 or 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
And Liam is a senior at in high school in Indiana, and he's graduating in 5 or 6 weeks.
Is he the one that's coming next week to
He
visit
is,
you?
that's right. Yeah,
Cool.
he's coming in for the weekend.
Cool. That's going to be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're excited about that.
Always love to see him.
I know. I get that's we all do. I mean, we love to spend time with our kids. Now, 7 or so months, and then you went into consulting.
Yep.
Consulting what?
So I was consulting for a number of manufacturers because well, quite frankly, the whole wholesale distribution landscape changed when the OKI ORS thing didn't go terribly well. And so a number of manufacturers were looking to maybe access the majors or,
Correct.
or maybe investigate different ways to distribute their products.
Gotcha.
And so worked with a number of manufacturers and actually ended up doing a consulting project for the IWDC,
Gotcha.
which ultimately ended up with me going to work for IWDC,
Okay.
which was, yeah.
And how long were you there?
In total, 3 years.
Got it.
And a great organization,
Yeah.
great people, phenomenal members,
Cool.
So been lucky to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, OKI was just incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible group of people.
Now, when it comes to working for someone like OKI, and then you are doing your own thing, consulting for a bit, and then you come right back to working for someone, IWDC, what would you say the big difference was between one and the other?
I couldn't say that it was colossal because you're still working in the same arena. You're dealing with manufacturers, you're dealing with distributors,
Same
you're,
people you've built relationships with already.
correct, yeah. The reason for making the call might change, but the people don't. And
way of putting
understanding
it.
their business, which is critically important.
That is so
And
true.
a lot of people don't take the time to do that.
Yeah.
But understanding the nature of a distributor's business, or for that matter, the nature of a manufacturer's business, is very important. Yeah.
That is so true. And now, so you are with IWDC for 3 years or so. And what came next?
At that point, the old ORS NASCO got acquired by One Equity Partners, and Kevin Short, an inspirational CEO, quite frankly, and we made contact and we talked about a plan to kind of resurrect wholesale in the welding channel.
Okay.
And let's not say there weren't other wholesalers. Clearly there were, and they were still thriving.
Correct.
But he wanted to resurrect it, and so I talked with Kevin at one point, and we in Cincinnati, and over a few months we agreed, and I came back to ORS, and it was a lot of fun.
Really?
Phenomenal people, some great people. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's amazing because I mean we talk about wholesalers and all that and the importance when done right what it can do for the industry, and and then you tag along the rebate programs and all that you touch on as well.
Yes.
That it has a time and a place and a purpose to really help one on this side of the table and kind of price integrity like you mentioned before. It's very important. So now when you are back with ORS, you were there at what capacity?
I was in as vice president for the welding channel.
Gotcha.
So dealing strictly with welding distributors, buying groups, and the majors.
Okay.
So interesting time because it is. I started in July of 2020. It was right in the middle of the pandemic.
What was happening? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, planes were empty. It was a lot of fun to fly.
Actually, if you could go somewhere, because I mean, you would fly on an empty plane, but then once you went to a specific city, most likely you were not meeting many people either, because there were so many closed companies. You can't come in. Sorry.
I remember going to Philly at one point and having to eat at a gas station.
I'm so lucky to be in Florida right now. It was
Well, even within states, like if you went to Chicago,
yeah.
the city was locked down. But if you stayed out at the airport,
Pocket, yeah.
you could restaurants were open, and
It's crazy times, which I still don't know what the hell just happened. But
So we lost people.
Yes.
I lost some friends. I lost some people I respected a lot, even people from the industry.
Wow.
That succumbed to COVID-related illnesses. So I don't want to make light of that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Certainly took it seriously and did everything I could to played within the rules.
Yeah, we all did, whether we liked it or not.
Yeah.
We had to. We had no choice, and it was a weird time. A very
extremely
weird.
weird.
Yeah, very
don't
weird.
care to go back there, and
Yeah.
I often wonder what if it was something that was really a lot more lethal.
How would it handle?
Yeah. So
because it's a whole new conversation, right?
We're done with that one.
Yeah, done with that one. Next. So this time around, on this second time with ORS, and that tenure expired, and what did you do after that?
Oh, after ORS?
Yeah.
Oh, that's subsequently to move here to Atlanta. Joined Hunter Johnson and the team at Techniweld.
Okay.
And it's, as anybody in the industry is watching announcement knows, it's an exciting time at Techniweld.
So what's your position with Techniweld?
A VP of Business Development, and
Well, that sounds fancy, Barry.
Yeah, it does. It still keeps you in a plane.
There you go.
Which can the older you get, the harder the time changes get.
Oh, yeah.
A phenomenal wholesaler, privately held.
Yeah.
Access to the owner at any time.
That's awesome.
And we can pursue any idea. That's the thing about a privately held organization.
We've talked about this, yeah.
Yeah, you can get to the owner and you can say,
what do you think?
What do you think? Or he might say, what do you
sucks,
think?
Yeah.
Could this work?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's been fascinating. And Hunter is, in his early 30s.
Oh.
And very different kind of thinker.
Approach,
not restrained by the conventions of been, 30 years in the business. And so I would actually describe, Techniweld is known as a wholesaler.
Yeah.
But I would describe Techniweld better as a contract manufacturer. Because we design products, we constantly improve products.
Gotcha.
Even existing designs, we've launched a lot of new products in the last couple of years that have been very unique and incredible design improvements to basic things like a pipeliner welding helmet. How can you improve that?
I know, right?
Turns out you could improve it quite a bit.
See, that's the thing that most people think, the welding industry, that everything is already done. Like, there's not much more because it is
a mature business.
Correct. Yeah. But every once in a while you get hit with those new things, new ideas, new people that users. I'm like, what? There's got to be a better way to do that, and they surprise me all the time. I'm like, there's no way they could have updated that from what he does now. But I totally agree. What would you say one of your best mentors you've ever had in this industry? Who would that person be, or who are they?
I'm very fortunate. I've had a number. I actually, there's one that lives just a few miles away from here, Jim O'Connor from Norton Abrasives, who's retired. I benefited a lot from my interaction. Jerry Fry, who was one of the old owners of OKI Bearing. I would also say for sure, the Lord have mercy on his soul, but Joe Dilhoff, who was the president, he taught me a lot about America as much as about the business, and how to appreciate America and immerse myself.
Who was the person that gave you that advice of when you are on the road?
Be nice. Whatever happens on the road, be nice. Yeah. There was an old gentleman back in Tullamore, when I was traveling, and I
You thought you were going to get so much more out of it, right?
I thought I was going to buy your tickets on Tuesday. They're cheaper, but no.
Yeah.
Turns out that's a wonderful piece of advice. But back to the mentor thing, I worked for a number of years for Bill Rice. Bill's retired now. He was president of Airgas, Virginia Welding, which is one of Peter McCausland's first acquisitions. And when he was starting Airgas, and I worked for Bill for a number of years, and he was a tough taskmaster, but I learned more about welding distribution from him than anybody else.
Really?
And for that, I'm eternally grateful. So.
You know, you have to rely on people to grow. You have to rely on people and pick their brain. You know, there's always going to be someone smarter than you, and all you can wish for is that you are a fly in the wall in their presence.
Yes.
So you can just pick up things, and it's always nice. I always love to hear people that know and appreciate and are grateful for others on the way that they were able to grow themselves.
I remember even when I would go visit with IWDC and I'm out selling the product to the program to the distributor members. I remember walking. Every time I got to the building, I would walk straight back to the distribution center and go around and shake everybody's hand, because the way I looked at it, they got the product out. I was literally standing on their shoulders. They were keeping all the promises that I was making.
Yep.
And so nobody does anything in isolation in this business. If you think you do, you have a real problem.
Yeah, if I've always had, if you make it to the top by yourself, then you did something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have people with you there.
If you make it to the top by yourself, you're probably not actually at the top, if you think that.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. Yeah. Now, being in the States for 25 years or so, and you've traveled all over the world, right? You said 50 countries or something like that, right? Yeah. And you're only 3 states shy of visiting every state in the U.S., right?
Yeah, very fortunate.
We are. I don't have that resume yet, but hopefully I can.
You got a few years to go. Catch up with me.
Well, my driver's license says I do, but my body is like, oh, geez, chill.
Yeah.
What is it that you like about traveling? Personally, aside from the business, what do you like about traveling?
I mean, there are so many unique things, experiences, foods. Right. We talked about food last night, but so many unique experiences and landscapes, things that, I've been very fortunate to see through my travels. I always say there are 2 things that every American should see. One is the Grand Canyon, and the other one is the Avenue of the Giants. In Northern California, up near Eureka, kind of coming down from there, and head over to the PCH and drive down to San Francisco.
So those are 2 things that you say that people have to go see those.
Just it's spectacular. It's beyond description.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that you mention 2 places that people have to see, without offending anyone and just being somewhat politically correct, give me a place that you went there, and you said, seen it, don't need to come back here again. For whatever reason, it's a personal reason.
I don't know that I've had. Well, I described. People look sometimes at the Midwest and it's boring and it's flat, or like Kansas or Nebraska or Indiana.
So that's your answer, guys.
No. But I told you last night about this wonderful hotel in the middle of Iowa.
Yeah.
That I'm sure the folks in Mason City, shout out to the Hubers, the folks in Mason City don't fully appreciate how novel that is. But it's the only hotel in the world designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, the historic Park Inn. And it was such a special place to visit, and I've been lucky to be there a number of times. Yeah. But they're everywhere. You just have to look for the beauty. It's there. It's always there. Sometimes it's just the people. Yeah.
We talked about being open-minded, and that's part of the whole thing.
It is.
You go into a place, whether it's the scenery, whether it's the people, and if you are open-minded, you're always going to find something that is worth checking out, worth having a conversation with. And how different, now that I mentioned being open-minded, it's the culture where you come from and the people here in the States when it comes to being open-minded?
So unfortunately, Ireland has, back since the famine in the mid 1800s. Let's drag that one up.
Yeah, right.
But it was real. I mean, the population of the country went from 8 million to 3 million.
Yeah.
So it was very real. But a lot of that was through emigration. So a lot of those Irish immigrants that came to the United States, we just became I was our greatest export with people.
Yeah.
And there aren't not a lot of Irish people in this business. In the welding supply, there's one that we know of in New York, Mr. O'Malley, who's a great character, very droll. But couple of Irish guys in the business. But throughout, many, particularly IT, software development, pharmaceuticals, a lot of Irish people living in the US. We still leave the country.
Really?
We love to go home. We're very proud of where we're from, but we still leave, and we just fit into every part of America.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe every part of the world, but
Yeah.
particularly America. Ireland's like the 51st state of the United States in some ways. For being very much part of the EU and very proud of its EU membership, still has this love affair with America. Yeah.
Wow. Where you are now here in Atlanta, have you lived in Atlanta before?
No,
Before
I
you
spent a
started
lot of
Techniweld?
time. No, I spent a lot of time here, and it's been 15, 16 months now.
Gotcha. And what do you think so far?
Oh, I love the neighborhood. I absolutely love the neighborhood.
I agree. It's lovely.
Yeah, I love the people of Atlanta. It's been a very pleasant experience. After there's always in the first couple of months there's always a
Adjusting
period, to get the hang of it. But then I was also traveling so much that it took a while. It took extra
longer
long,
than right?
to get settled in. But in this neighborhood, I mean, you've been on the porch here. You see everybody go by and wave. And
That's true. So I've had about maybe 2 people walk by. I'm sure they've never seen me here before. I know that they know that, and they walk by. It's like, hey, hi neighbor. And I'm like, well, hi neighbor. Yeah.
It's
so
a
feels
little like
awesome.
Mayberry.
It feels awesome. It feels great. The weather's nice. So congratulations on getting this place because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in the industry in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, you're aware of what's happening at Techniweld. We just had an dear old friend of mine from Appleton, Wisconsin, Dave Anderson. I've always been a huge admirer of his company, Metalman Work Gear. And we acquired Metalman 6 months ago.
Okay.
It has been an incredible fit. And over the next couple of years, Dave will kind of step away from the business, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
But he's staying with us to ensure a good...
That the brand...
Smooth, good smooth handover.
Correct, yeah. The way it should be done.
Exactly. And that's been very gratifying to see how that's done. And I think Hunter is very happy with the acquisition. And we just acquired or merged, it would probably be a better description, with a wonderful team at Welding Material Sales. Literally, we announced it last Monday.
Yep.
And Brian DePaul, I remember...
AKA for most of those people that might not know that name,
Blue Demon.
Blue Demon.
That's right.
Correct. That's the more known name.
Yeah.
So Brian DePaul.
DePaul and Bill and Travis and Glenn and the whole lot, the whole team, all the girls and all the crew up there in Illinois. Absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait to see where we go with this. Already, all of the indications are extremely positive. And Hunter is definitely clear about the fact that we're still in the acquisition business. Oh. And we have ongoing discussions with other folks. And so we're looking to grow exponentially. There's 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day.
Yep.
They own 40% of the non-tech type businesses.
That is true.
And there'll be a huge transfer of ownership of businesses over the next 5 years, and I think we're at the front end of it.
Yeah, it's nice to see because Hunter is what, second or third generation?
Second generation.
Second generation, and 31 years old.
Yeah, and he's got the support. I mean, obviously his dad Eddie is still around.
Of course.
And comes in every week, and he's a tour de force when he comes in. Just a phenomenal personality. and then his uncle Barry
Yeah.
is our senior VP, and he is also great support. So there's a lot of family involvement. It really does feel like a family
Family owned.
business.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think we've talked about this last night. Is how when you work for a family owned private company, of course there's up and downs just like a regular family.
Oh yeah.
But it feels so nice when you can just get up and go talk to the owner, the whoever the decision maker is, without all the red tapes of these other bigger entities, right? Nothing wrong with that. It is what it is, but it's so much nicer.
Yes.
That you can just, hey, Hunter, hey, whatever, like, what's up?
When enterprises get to a certain size, it gets difficult to maintain that informality.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so I understand that. So maybe people that like that type of environment are better working,
Thrive, yeah.
at a certain within a certain informal structure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and again, the customers are the same.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
the product could change, the logo could change.
Yep.
The people, the relationship you've built, the friendships you've built, they still the same. So I can see that you still love what you do and that you're still having fun doing what you do. It's always nice to see people like you that have been in the industry for so long, way longer than me, and you are also a little bit more seasoned than me. Have seen a few more
That's
summers.
politically nice of you to say.
What can I say? Hey.
Yeah.
But I've always tell this to people that I know that they've been in the industry, because people like you have helped build the industry to whatever level it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the last 10 years or so, it comes in waves, where the industry feels like it's stagnant and it's not going anywhere. And then you get a boom of something.
Yes.
And then it's like, whoa, what just happened? Like, it's now like the future, you can see it. So I thank you for your efforts to help the industry and also put the industry up front on all the levels that you've done. Mm-hmm. Because it helps. It helps people like us. It helps younger people come in and kind of have someone that they can call and say, hey, can I pick your brain a little bit? The only thing that I regret is that you and I had not met each other prior to.
We had opportunities.
I know. I've been in the industry for 13 years, but it's never too late. Mm-hmm. But you reached out in Hawaii, mm-hmm. and you said, "Hey, Frank, let me shake your hand. How come you and I, haven't really built a relationship yet?" And
there's very few people left in the industry,
right? Yeah, I know, right? The two. So I'm honored that you took that approach and pretty much broke the ice, because we never had the opportunity until then, and now I'm sleeping at his house. I mean, come on, geez,
Well, I admire, just kind of right back at you, I admire what you're doing. We talked yesterday, last night we talked about something on local TV here yesterday with welding and AI and how it doesn't make it to the public. Gary Kanarska, who just moved from
Spain,
executive director of AWS back to Lincoln in Spain, in Barcelona. What a horrible place to have to move to.
When he told me, like, I'm moving back or moving, I'm like, really, dude? Like,
I remember talking to Gary at dinner kind of back in probably IWDC show in Minneapolis a couple of years ago, and he was talking about it's almost too late when you get to high school. You got to get it middle school. You got to get kids interested in welding. Boy Scouts, like kind of just there are all these opportunities to
that you can give them a quick exposure.
Introduce the younger kids to the concept of welding, and later on they figure out this could be a very good living, and it's something that you can't necessarily have done overseas and import.
Correct.
Yes, some of it you can, but not the big stuff. It's got to be done here. That got to be done on site, and there are some phenomenal equipment companies that have been at the forefront of welding technology based here in the United States. And so there's a proud history. The AWS does a shout out to our mutual friend Mike Krupnicki,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
He does
We,
it.
we sent him a picture last night of just
We did.
us having adult beverages.
Yeah, so
That's all I'm saying.
It was. Maybe it wasn't torch tails. It was porch tails.
Yeah. Or poor tails. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, AWS. We're lucky to have Gauda. Is obviously an incredible organization.
Every one of those organizations that are trying to promote the industry directly and indirectly helps us
Yeah.
on this side of the table.
Yeah, and I've had so many friends kind of cycle through as president. Current one, Gary Halter,
Yep.
just an incredible president of the organization, and it's lovely to see people that have given so much to the industry. That is one thing I bemoan from time to time. I don't have a lot of negatives.
Yeah.
From time to time, people will enter particularly the hard goods side of things, and they don't understand the channel, and that can be. It's such a waste. Because it's a unique in the sphere of industrial distribution. Welding hard goods is just a tiny thread.
It is.
It's insignificant almost.
It is.
But it's also so important.
We've talked about it. A gas sells brass, and then there's nothing you can do with that gas if you don't have the hard goods.
Correct.
So
Yeah. And with the major gas companies that have really have been, I know that a lot of them have acquired. They have acquired a lot of independent distributors, but let's not forget there are no distributors without the major producers to supply them. And, it's been a wonderful.
It's a fine dance, and sometimes it's not a fair dance. Sometimes one knows how to dance more than the other.
Yeah.
You got two left feet. Sorry, what can I say?
Yeah,
it is what it is. But I want to thank you for having me here, for allowing me to have this conversation with you, for what you do for the industry, and hopefully. Now I get to pick your brain more here and there and kind of learn from all these summers you've had in this world, in the welding industry.
And a couple of winters.
And a couple of winters, winter's coming.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to say about anything, whether it's yourself, Techniweld, the industry, before we can call it a day?
Well, first I'd like to express my gratitude to all of my colleagues at Techniweld and all around the country, and our new family members at Metalman, Work Gear, and Welding Material Sales. But basically to all of the people I've gotten to know over the last 25 years, what an honor it's been kind of working to serve you. And I still got a few years left.
There you go. There you go.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, Barry, thank you so much again.
Frank,
I
as
appreciate
always,
it.
thank you so much.
Guys, I hope you learned something from somebody else in the industry. If you haven't met him yet, it's because you haven't been in the industry that long. That's right, because he has. I hope you guys like the content. This is what this whole channel is all about, just to teach you guys that there's so many avenues in the welding industry. So every time someone says I'm in the welding industry, it doesn't have to mean that I'm under the hood. It could be what he does, what I do, and another 1,000 other positions out there. So come to the industry. You are needed. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you somewhere else with somebody else. Torch Tales out.
Thank you.